It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Looks like Kyrsten Sinema is exiting stage left. I had a big announcement on Tuesday that she was leaving. She was not going to run for re-election. She was bowing out, probably because it wasn't looking good for her. Was not looking good in Arizona for the senator. And look, she did this to herself. I mean, for me, if you said, what do you think of Kyrsten Sinema? I remember the Dipsy Do dance she did where she thumbs down the increase in the minimum wage. That sticks with me. You didn't need to do the whole little dance and the whole little display with the weird little outfit. Didn't need to do that. That tells me not so much on the side of working people. Also, kind of the fly in the ointment on a lot of things. Now, her spiel, she gave a 3-minute video on social media on, she went to Washington for compromise and she's proud of the work she's done. And look, you do that when you're going to possibly run for president, because I watched the speech and I'm going, well, this is a nice way to bow out and say, Washington's broken, and we've just gotten more partisan, and for me, I'm going, okay, where's she cashing in next? And then I saw a tweet from the No Labels people. Yeah, those folk, they tweeted out the entire No Labels movement. The movement of No Labels. Just a couple of rich people who are trying to figure out how to also be the fly in the ointment. They write, the movement is grateful for Senator Sinema. Her courageous leadership, the worse Washington has gotten, the more she has risen to the occasion, they wrote. She led the Senate passage of major bipartisan legislation like the 2021 infrastructure bill, the CHIPS Act, and most recently the bill to secure our borders and get aid for our foreign allies. She's a voice of common sense and civility at a moment when America desperately needs more of both. And I read that and I'm going, yeah, I know where she's going. Could we see a Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, hey, I need attention campaign? Because understand, the both of them, I believe the both of them, it's about the attention. It's about, having that power of people pandering and donations and that. So we'll see. Now just so you know, No Labels has not put her out in front. This is just my gut reaction going, seems interesting. Seems like, well, timing. Because she was never going to win re-election in Arizona. That wasn't going to happen. Because people there, like many people across the country, frustrated that she held up a lot of stuff that could have gotten life better for a lot of people. Now, is she right that, we've become more partisan? Yeah, out of necessity. Do we want more people in the center? Yeah, sort of. But when you have things that need to get done, being the one who's always holding up the progress or killing that progress, that's going to get you in the center. And that's where she ended up. So we'll see. Will she be the one that No Labels cons into running their campaign? I don't know. We'll see. But the big news Tuesday, the Biden administration and Joe Biden tweeted out, today I'm launching a strike force on unfair and illegal pricing to crack down on corporations who break the law while keeping prices high for American consumers. And look, he said we're going to put all of the powers of government the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, the Department of Justice and their arm. I'm going to get those together, going to get the agencies of government working together to go after these gougers, these people who have been, call it what it is, screwing over the American people. Now, I talked to some of my friends who have taken the simplistic route, going, it's all Joe Biden's fault that we have inflation. He spent money on, you've heard it. They gave $1,400 to people. We're wasting all this money on infrastructure. We love potholes in the roads and bridges that collapse. We want more of it. No, that's the argument that we're spending money, and not the argument that corporate America has grown too powerful. That for decades now they've had their way to consolidate, to become so big that they're almost uncontrollable, and that there's no competition. Conservatives used to believe in competition. Now, my free market folks losing their mind over the fact that Biden is now going to be, saying, look, we're going to be the cop on the beat again. We're going to promote competition. We're going to promote the ability of consumers to be, I don't know, protected in an economy. We're going to go after the gouging, the junk fees, the surprise fees, the manipulation of markets. We're going to go after that, and consolidation as well. They said, look in the food sector, they're going to support, with some funding, people to get involved in different parts of the food market, farmers and ranchers, and help lower prices for consumers. This is all part of that. Also on the healthcare front, in his press release, they were talking about Health and Human Services, the fact that they've rejected more than 1,000 Medicare Advantage TV marketing ads in just 1 year. Because they were misleading. They were making a whole bunch of things that, maybe they're true, maybe they're not. But what they are is they're getting more people to taking on privatized Medicare than the good old-fashioned traditional Medicare. And then you get to when you actually need it, and you go, oh, well, sorry, that's not covered. Or, sorry, you're going to have to pay more for that. Surprise! And look, our economy's been rigged on surprise. So to hear Biden say, we're going to finally take on some of this stuff, we're going to crack down on credit card companies that gouge you if you miss a payment or if you're late or something, we're going to take that on. Or all those places that you go to check out and oops, surprise, there's more fees. Just the other day, my wife is going to see our daughter perform in the drum line that she's in. The percussion band in Virginia. And my wife wants to get a hotel down near Richmond and spend time, because she doesn't want to drive down and back in the same day. So I'm looking at hotels, and I go on the websites and I'm not going to say which one, I'm not going to promote it, but it's one of those, come here and we'll look at all the hotels. So I go, here's a good one. Let's look at this. So I go through the checkout process, and at the end there's like another $30 in fees. Doesn't say what the fees are. I have no idea. There's the taxes. We know what the taxes are. Taxes are clearly written, and you expect that. But it's the fees, and I'm going, I don't even know what the fees are for. So I X'd out of that. And then I went to another one, and not only were there fees, there was like a resort fee. And I'm going, it's a hotel. I didn't know it was a resort hotel. And this is the kind of stuff that has to become more front and center. If we're going to truly move towards free market principles, having that information, that's what makes it a free market. Ensuring that everything is front and center, making sure that there are no shocks and surprises, and that there's someone on your side, kind of important to me. So seeing Biden do some of this, I say it's about time. Now, I've been saying Congress should have been doing this for a couple of years. Coming out of the pandemic, seeing the greed and the massive inflation that has happened to us, saying, hey, senators, where are you doing the investigations into this stuff? Why aren't you doing anything to stop it? And that's the frustrating part of this. It's finally come down to the president, coming out with this strike force, and about time. So for me, I'm all in favor of strike force. We most certainly need it. I want to hear your thoughts Have you seen opportunities of being cheated by, well, corporate America outside of the greedflation of, hey, we're making record profits, but we still got to raise the prices and cut those wages on those workers? I want to hear it. Rick at the ricksmithshow.com. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, Julie Hedrick is going to be here to talk about what's going on at American Airlines and the flight attendants fight for, well, better wages, hours, conditions. Back after this.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania to the auto factories of Michigan to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, President of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
The old factory towns in America's heartland have been taking a beating. Thing is, though, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The Inflation Reduction Act will lower energy prices and create millions of new jobs by dramatically increasing the manufacturing of solar panels, wind turbines, electric cars, and energy-efficient home appliances. We're finally turning things around after 40 years of screwing over working people. But will we keep moving in the right direction? That's our choice as Americans.
We are AFGE. We support our nation's military and our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders and provide services to our nation's seniors across the country and here in Washington, D.C. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
So on Monday, American Airlines flight attendants picketed on Wall Street during American Airlines 2024 Investor Day meeting, where the company touted their goal of to care for people on life's journey. Which evidently, and this is weird, is a registered trademarked slogan. I gotta think the workers who are out there picketing on the picket line would question the company's commitment, considering they're working for wages that were last negotiated a decade ago. Yeah, 2024, the last time their wages were negotiated. And here to share some thoughts on Monday's event and, well, where this could be heading and hopefully doesn't. But I asked Julie Hedrick to come talk with us. Julie's the national president of the Association of Professional Flight Attendants. She represents 27,000 flight attendants at American Airlines. Their website, apfa.org. Julie, thanks for taking time for us.
Hi, Rick. Thank you so much for having me on today.
So Monday, you have this event. You got people out on Wall Street saying, hey, treat us better. Tell me about the day.
All right. Well, first off, that was Monday, but on Friday here at American Airlines was Employee Appreciation Day. And American Airlines put out this, we have a culture of appreciation, right, for their employees. I can tell you our flight attendants today do not feel appreciated. And that was clear on Monday, as we had many flight attendants out picketing with us on Wall Street to basically push back on a company that's there for Analyst Day, their first Analyst Day in 7 years, and touting about the 260 aircraft that they are putting an order for. And our flight attendants want them to invest in us, in the flight attendants first, before they are investing in an order for 260 aircraft, right? And ISM had all of the top executives there that day making their presentation on what a great company American Airlines is. And we were definitely out there telling everybody that would listen to us a different story. What really is happening at American Airlines today.
I got to think American Airlines is appreciative of your members, appreciative of the fact that they haven't had to give them a raise in all these years, and that they're making a lot of profit that they can then, plow back into new fancy airplanes. And look, we want them to invest. I want companies to do really well. But the people who make that profit, your members, the folks who do the actual work in making people's lives better on that journey, maybe you take care of them too.
Absolutely. We are waiting for that, and we are tired of waiting. I can tell you, every flight I am on, The flight attendants when I'm talking to them, they're like, we are ready to go on strike. We can't wait any longer. Our flight attendants are suffering, to say the least. Our new hire flight attendants make a gross of $27,000. And we are based in 10 of the most expensive cities across this country. So that doesn't pay the rent. It surely doesn't put food on the table. It is not enough to live. And this company has really been taking advantage of the fact that many of our flight attendants have second and third jobs. Many are living at home with their parents. And actually, we've got flight attendants who've been living in their cars. It's totally unacceptable. And
but as I understand, Julie, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, the upper management, your upper level folks, the people who aren't taking care of the customers, they've actually rewarded themselves quite well, haven't they?
Oh, yes. We haven't gotten their bonuses for this year yet. But I can tell you last year, the bonuses up into, and this is like middle management and up, they got like 60% of their salary. Some of them did. We don't know what the top got. We don't have the information on that. But as you probably know, Robert Isom took a $2.75 million bonus last year, as he has flight attendants who haven't had a raise in 5 years. We negotiated our rates back in 2014. And so you can imagine what it is like trying to live in these cities where rent has just about doubled in some of them, right? And actually, we don't have one city in our system any longer that's affordable for rent.
And again, I'm sure he appreciates your members working for poverty wages so that he can enrich himself. But so this leads us to where does this go? I mean, at some point, this is an untenable situation. The workers, can't. I'm sure you've got a turnover problem that needs to be addressed. I'm sure you've got a lot of things that need to be addressed. What's going on? I mean, I know there's negotiations happening. I know you're asking for the ability to possibly strike down the road. Where are we? Where is this going?
All right. So where we're at today is next week, we are going to be in Washington, D.C., our entire negotiating team with our lead negotiator. And we are going to be making our case to the National Mediation Board in person. This is the second time we have asked for a release from these negotiations because we definitely feel we are at an impasse. They have passed one economic proposal to us. And all this time, we have passed two, and we're waiting for a second economic proposal from them. And the last time they passed a proposal was back in September. So we definitely feel we're at an impasse. We have narrowed the issues. We know our flight attendants need raises. They need improvements to their work rules, and we can't wait any longer. So Next week, we're really hopeful that the National Mediation Board will hear us, and they will release us so that we can get into our 30-day cooling off period and actually be able to strike if that's what it's going to take for us to get the contract we deserve.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't come to that, but if you have to, you have to. As I say, strikes are always the last arrow in the quiver, but you got to have that arrow. It's got to be there in the event that negotiations aren't moving forward. But here's the thing that gets me. As someone who has flown and someone who sees what your members do and what they go through, I got to tell you, the poverty level wages that haven't, as you've pointed out, were last negotiated over a decade ago. I don't know how people do these jobs, and good on your members for doing it, but I don't know how people do it. I just don't.
Well, I can tell you this, like I fly every week back and forth. I live in Northern California and I fly to Dallas every week. So I'm talking to at least 8 flight attendants every week, but usually I try and get out in the field whenever I can. And I've come across flight attendants who have $1 in their pocket. I had a flight attendant, $1 in his pocket for 9 days. He said, I don't have money to eat. It is totally unacceptable. We are helping our flight attendants to get food stamps. We are trying to help them in any way we can. But at the end of the day, this company is failing. They are failing their employees. I know we've got employees who've gotten other contracts here recently, but I will tell you, they've told me they voted yes because they couldn't wait any longer if they voted no. They had to get an improvement in their wages. And so our flight attendants, we are trying to do everything we can to help them through this time frame, but they're having to make tough decisions. They want to stay, but they also know they cannot live on these wages for much longer.
Yeah, no, again, I go back to that trademarked And it seems it's trademarked. It's got the little R right there next to care for people on life's journey. How is this caring for people? And I know, sometimes we don't think of workers as people, but how is this caring for those folks?
Listen, our management team is caring for themselves. That's it. They are not caring for us. And I can tell you, if you went out and you talked to probably thousands of our flight attendants, it's going to be hard to find one that is going to tell you that they feel cared for by this company. It's a really sad state right now. I'm hopeful that we'll get this done soon. We have to. And that's why we're at the National Mediation Board. We can't wait any longer. It is, 5 years without a raise. I know there's other Americans out there that are dealing with the same thing we are and having to worry about how they're going to pay the rent, how they're going to get food on their table. It's totally unacceptable.
No, it is unacceptable. So on Monday, as you're out there on the picket line, with the investor class walking in and out, what kind of response did they get from them? Because I got to imagine not all of them are just all about, hey, more for me and, well, screw you, tough luck, better luck next time. Some of them have got to be going, hey, we want this company run better so that it makes this profit continually. What kind of response did you get on Monday?
We didn't get any response from them. We didn't see them, which is not unusual. We saw a lot of our passengers, a lot of public, and I can tell you they support us. They were definitely out there to support us, telling us to keep up the fight, to get what we deserve. And I will say a lot of them were talking about our boarding pay, because now the public does recognize that we do not get paid our hourly rate while we are boarding the aircraft, while they are all boarding the aircraft. And they're out there now basically chanting with us that we need boarding pay. So
which is insane to me, Julie. I got to be honest. You're working but not getting paid. How is that possible? I mean, I guess.
The structure of how we got paid started a long time ago.
No,
right?
I'm thinking about truck drivers. Most truck drivers don't get paid for their pre-trips only when the wheels are turning. And I've often made the analogy that airlines and the trucking industry are similar. One's just got wings and the other one's riding. They both abuse employees in very similar ways. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the flight attendants don't get paid for the boarding process, the security process. I guess I shouldn't be shocked by that.
Listen, our days are very long. The majority of our days are 12, 13-hour days. We can go up to 15 if we're just flying domestic, right? If we're flying international, much longer than that. And we're only guaranteed, like a 12-hour day, we're only guaranteed 6 hours of our hourly rate. Okay, so a lot of times you'll see flight attendants in the airport sitting around waiting for their next flight. That's because we have a lot of 2 and 3 hour sit times that we're sitting there not getting paid our hourly wages. And so that is why when people look at our wages, they're kind of trying to understand. When you look at our hourly rate, it looks a little different. But that is because we are not paid for a lot of the day when we are on duty.
Wow. And I'm ready to go on strike. I got to be honest with you. I hear this, and as someone who's been very fortunate throughout my life to be a unionized truck driver, there are a lot of things that happen in the non-union sector that I'm going, guys, you should be striking over. But hearing this is one of those things that yeah, absolutely. So what are the chances, do you think, that you're going to get this relief that you're seeking, and what are the chances, do you think, that this will awaken American to get to the table and to actually negotiate? Because look, allowing the strike to possibly happen doesn't mean you're going to go on strike, but the threat of it has got to be something that's going to put some juice into negotiations, I think, right?
Absolutely. We need that pressure on this company to get this deal done. And we really want to get a contract. I say this all the time. Our goal isn't for us to go on strike. Our goal is for us to get a contract that we deserve, but we will do whatever it takes to get that contract. And we are not going to give in to something less than what we deserve. And that's basically what this company wants us to do. We have shown up to many events before this. We've had 8 picketing events in the last year and a half across the country, worldwide. Our last one with over 100,000 flight attendants that belong to unions. And we're going to keep on it as much as we can and as long as we have to until we get the contracts we deserve. As you probably know, this is not just about American Airlines flight attendants. We have Alaska, United, Southwest, We are all in negotiations right now. And of course, Delta is non-unionized, but we're working on that. So I will say it's not just about American Airlines flight attendants. It's about flight attendants across this country we're all dealing with the same thing. None of us. Basically, what's happening is these CEOs have devalued our job. And this happened during COVID. Okay, 5 years without a raise. That's what can happen to your wages when you haven't had a raise. And they're trying their hardest to keep our wages down this time and not let them get up. And that is why we are working together to make sure that doesn't happen.
Again, that idea of solidarity, everybody involved in pushing. So with that in mind, last question I've got for you. What can I do to help? What can our listeners and viewers do to help? What can people do? What the flying public do? What are the marching orders?
Well, listen, first off, thank you so much for having me on the show today. This helps just getting our word out there. I will say, like I said yesterday, when our passengers are out there and they're chanting because they think we should get paid during boarding time, that helps us also. Our passengers have been very supportive. Everyone in the media has been supportive, getting the word out about flight attendants, about what these CEOs are trying to do, devaluing the job, trying to make sure that it's no longer a career for people to stay in for many years. I've been a flight attendant for 41 years. And I can tell you, it would be really hard for a flight attendant today to do this for that long because of what's happening at these airlines. It's not just American, it's across the industry. And it is time that we change. So we've seen a lot of support out on the picket line every time we're out there. And with social media today, one of the best things we see now is when our CEO puts out anything on social media about American Airlines or Robert Isom, our passengers weigh in. They go in and they're like, give your flight attendants a contract that they deserve, right? Give them a raise. So that's very helpful.
That's what they earn. Look, if your CEO is putting money in his pocket, some of that should trickle down to the pockets of the people who actually do the work, and not just boarding pay should they get, but hazard pay as well. Because I got to tell you, since the pandemic, I see a lot of craziness going on, especially because of social media. So your members, they earn every penny that they earn, and they deserve more. But Julie, I appreciate you taking time for us. One day longer, one day stronger. I hope you'll come back with some good news down the road. But thanks so much.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to come back, and I'll let you know how it goes next week at the National Mediation Board.
Looking forward to it. Julie Hedrick, I appreciate you taking time for us. Want to hear your thoughts. Can you believe that? They don't get paid while they're greeting people, seating them, doing all of putting the bags overhead, not a dime. That's insane. I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com for our free speech TV audience. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time for our radio affiliates across the country. Quick break. Right back.